I think for us, the heartbeat is we don't want to be a church with thousands and thousands of people. That's not our focus. Our focus isn't on growing exponentially and getting, thousands and thousands of people. It's about seeing our people develop and seeing how they grow and being able to have that personal conversation and that personal touch point.
Welcome to Moving Mountains, a podcast where we get to celebrate together the wins that different churches and the church as a whole have experienced. I'm Pam Flannery, and each month I get the amazing opportunity to talk with church leaders from all over the country, hearing the innovative and creative ways they're reaching their communities through the struggles and the wins in their ministry. Our hope is that you'll leave each episode with fresh ideas for your ministry, as well as the tools to put that plan into action so that you can impact your community further. Let's move mountains. Hi, my name is Pam Flannery. I lead our customer communities at Pushpay. Today, I have the honor to introduce you to Joe Bedenbaugh, Ministry Intelligence Director with Valley Creek Church in Texas. Joe, it is wonderful to have you as our guest today, and I know our audience is going to glean valuable insights from you. A Ministry Intelligence Director is a very unique title, and I'd love for you to expand on that and tell us more about yourself, your family, and a little bit about Valley Creek Church.
Yeah. So first, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here and to get to talk with you just kind of about some of the things we're doing. Joe Bedenbaugh. I have a wife, Candace. We got married about a year and a half ago. We both actually met in Texas, but aren't from Texas. She's from Washington State. I'm from Pennsylvania. So God brought us both to Texas to introduce us to each other. And prior to coming on staff at Valley Creek, I worked for PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, for just under 10 years and really kind of looked at the lifestyle and the life of the people that, I would be stepping into. And I just decided, that is not the life for me. And so God put it on my heart to leave there. And I started a business myself with a friend from PwC and did that for about 10 months and then started on staff at Valley Creek in October of 2019. So it's been an awesome journey. I started as the data administrator, but as we kind of went through the realm of things, it's actually, I think it was a lunch that we had with CCB. I think it might have been John Plotner made a comment about this title. He might have said business intelligence or something. And we got on the topic of conversation about ministry intelligence director, and I love that, and my boss loved that, and so he actually pushed for that. So I am the ministry intelligence director, which basically just means that I manage the data, but I do it in a way that just helps us to see our people.
Oh, that is such a great story. And I know John Plotner very well. Of course, He works here at Pushpay. He's in our Redmond office, and he was in our Colorado Springs office. He must have been your coach at the time. Is that right?
Yes. Yep.
Awesome.
That's right.
Valley Creek Church believes that people are important because each person tells a story. You shared that with me, and I really appreciated that. I'd love for you to share a little bit more about that for our audience.
Yeah. When I started on staff with the church, one of the very first things I heard from God was numbers are people. And coming from PwC, I did a lot of data work there and project program management work there, and numbers were numbers. We were counting the number of test cases that were executed. We were showing dollar signs that were made. And if it was off by $1, it didn't really matter, because when you're talking millions of dollars, $1 doesn't matter. When you're looking at test cases and you've executed 10,000 or 10,001, does that one really make a difference? No, it doesn't. But when we talk about ministry life, numbers matter. Every number is a person. And so when I stepped into this role, one of the first things, again, that I heard is numbers are people. And so just about every number that we produce, with the exception of our worship center, because that's next to impossible to get a name for every person in the worship center, we have names to go with every person who attends a circle. We have a name for every person who is serving. We have a name for every person who has gone through a class. And all of that together helps to create the story, create the narrative of the next steps that people are taking. And our vision is to be a movement of hope for the city and beyond. And really what that means is we want every person and every area of life to have multiple opportunities to just see and experience the hope of Jesus. And so when we think about that, when we think about like a religious organization, they kind of operate under preferences and a little bit of selfishness and some offenses and fear. But when we think about operating as a movement of hope, what is a movement? Well, you can move in a bunch of different directions, but you're not actually going to get anywhere. So a movement requires unity, it requires sacrifice, it requires forgiveness, it requires love, it requires us all to come together to be able to actually walk forward together. And so the way that we do that is we raise up generations of hope carriers by helping people take their next step on their journey with Jesus. And so hope carrier, kind of like, what is that? A hope carrier is a disciple of Jesus living on mission to change their world. And then next step, we define that as any belief or behavior that moves you forward on your journey with Jesus. So that's all of that is kind of why we look at stories and why stories are important to us, because if we can't see and understand and celebrate our people on their journey from lost to leader, then we kind of miss the point. You know, you can have a mega church that has a multi-thousand people, but if you don't know your people and you don't know the stories and you don't know the lives that are being changed and you don't have that sense of community, then we miss the point, because Jesus is community.
Absolutely. I love that lost to leader. It's really good. Yeah. And you do something very unique there too. You don't ask people to become members.
Right.
You ask them to join that. So how are you able to track that? So sometimes when you are becoming a member, like especially even with our process cues, you put someone in and it's very step one, you go through this class, you go to this class. And so it's very one, and those work and they're great. But how do you track a movement?
Yeah. That's a great question, and it's something that, you know, we've been figuring out over the last few years, is how to really track that. But one of the ways we do that, we have a guest guide. So someone who's brand new can fill out the guest guide, and that puts them into a process queue where they get a call from one of our next steps directors and just get to know them. And typically it's either a call, or when possible, it's meeting up for just coffee or a quick conversation. So that's kind of how it starts. And then we also, if whoever's brand new checks in kids, then we get some information about them that way. And we reach out to the parents and we reach out to the kids and just send them a gift after they've attended for the weekend and just follow up. And I think for us, the heartbeat is we don't want to be a church with thousands and thousands of people. That's not our focus. Our focus isn't on growing exponentially and getting, you know, thousands and thousands of people. It's about seeing our people develop and seeing how they grow and being able to have that personal conversation and that personal touch point. So whether it's in kids or students or going through a class, those are all opportunities for us to have someone put their foot in the door. And then it's that personal relationship that goes from there, where we just reach out to them, we have a conversation with them, and reach out to them when we see that they're missing or see that maybe they haven't come in a couple of weeks.
I so appreciate that, because for a long time we weren't connected really in a church. We went from being very connected for decades to where are we going to go, you know? And you don't get we didn't receive a call. We visited churches and didn't get the call. And the one that did make the phone call, well, guess what? That's where we ended up. So personal touch is important. And of course, technology helps with that. So I'm thankful that you're doing both. You're definitely a connector. And you do that so well, not only personally, but through technology. And you use the data in Pushpay reports to help create stories that you just spoke about. What does that look like?
Yeah, so it's quite the journey right now. So we have, I guess the report that we use the most is the individual attendance summary with the missed and attended. And as I mentioned before, you know, names, numbers need to have a name to go with them. So we pull the individual attendance summary with missed or attended for each and every one of our circles are the equivalent of small groups, but we pull a report for each and every one of those circles so that we know who attended whose circles, so that we know who to celebrate and who to encourage. So that's one of the things that we do is we pull that attendance summary. We do that every single week for every single one of our circles. And then we kind of commingle that information with our serving information. So on schedules, when people check in, we grab the schedules, I think it's the schedules assignments report, and put that into our database. And then if someone has served the city, which is an event that we do every month, we will take attendance for that. And if they've joined the movement, then we take attendance for that. And so when we create and kind of craft the story for each person, it's bringing all of those different data points together so that we can see the full picture of how our people are, where they are, and really just giving our local leaders the opportunity to follow up. If, someone who's been very consistent in serving every single week doesn't show up for a couple of weeks, it just kind of allows them to see, oh, there's an opportunity here for me to reach out and just see how that person's doing. And truth be told, they usually see that before the data even says it, and they're reaching out pretty frequently anyways, but it's a help to just be able to see that through our data as well.
Well, and that data allows you to not slip through the cracks.
Yes.
Because that can happen. As much as we know
Yeah.
our volunteers and our people, that
Yeah.
one could slip past, and we don't do it intentionally, but there's a lot of people, especially in a church your size. So
Yeah.
being very intentional is, I'm really thankful that you guys do that. One of your favorite Pushpay features is people search, and
Yes.
you shared that with me. You said it's
Yeah.
because it allows the flexibility to pull what you want. What
Yeah.
are some of those things that you want and you need for your ministry?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would mix the people search with the reporting as my top two favorites. I love that Pushpay is moving toward reporting through people search versus having that separate reporting. I think when I look at that reporting, that's kind of what we're used to, but people search is the way of the future in the sense of like being able to pull the different data elements from all the different places. So people search, we use that a lot for just like getting our leader list and having contact information for that, being able to put people into a group. We've got a leader summit coming up in January with over 700 people and across our different campuses. And so being able to drop all of them into a group that then we can send a communication, an invite for that event just makes it so much easier than having to try to do that individually and making that a cumbersome process. So we use it to draw people into process queues for our students. Brand new students who show up for the first week go into process queues for our student directors and they reach out. We use it for kids. We use it for event registrations. We use it even to just figure out which of our leaders don't have photos. That's a big thing for us, is just being able to have a picture to go with the face or to go with the name. And so we're pulling reports just to see who doesn't have a picture that we can reach out to and get that. So a lot of great uses for that. And I love the little report icon everywhere you go, whether it's schedules or groups or wherever you go, that just kind of gives some of those basics not the right word, but some of those reports that really everyone wants at their fingertips. And that has been such an incredible help with my role, especially when we were using Fellowship One before. A lot of my role was just pulling reports because it wasn't super intuitive, but now we have our staff just using those report features and the people search to be able to pull the information that they want. So it's been a huge help even for me with reporting.
You mentioned the photos. How do you
Yeah.
encourage people in your church to upload a photo, or do you do that for them?
It's a little mix of both. So when they go through the Join the Movement class, we identify who doesn't have a photo and we take it right there. And we do that for really all of our classes. We figure out who doesn't have a photo and then we get one kind of real time as they're checking in. We snap a picture of them. When we first started that whole effort, we reached out to our leaders to upload or get a picture. And we also went through just kind of taking pictures with people as they were onboarding. So that's a couple of the different ways that we do that.
Yeah, I appreciate seeing a face because I'll forget
Yeah.
a name, but I'll never forget a face. So
Yeah.
it's so helpful for me. So I appreciate
Yeah.
that you do that. You also really love the features within groups, and you talked about the integration when you and I met.
Yeah.
Can you share some of those integrations and why they're helpful?
Yeah. I mean, it's really all of that. I love that you can go to a group and see the calendar for when a circle's meeting and see you can click into that and see did they actually meet or not. I love that you can quickly and easily add a person to a group. I love that you can create an event within the group and invite that entire group. I love that you can assign rooms and resources to a specific event or to a group holistically, and just even being able to move it from campus to campus is huge, and not having to recreate it and be like, oh man, this couple or this individual moved from this campus to this campus and now we have to start all over. Just being able to move the campus is huge for us.
Your small groups, Joe, are called circles.
Yeah.
And what a great name. How many circles do you have? Why are they important? And how did you come up with the name circles?
Yeah, so I'll kind of answer that backwards going forward. So we decided when we sat down and thought about it, we said, small groups isn't the right name for us. When we really thought about how Jesus operated, he had his 12, but then he had his three. And he would pull his three off to the side, sit in a circle, and basically debrief them on what he just shared with the people. And he would do that with his 12. He would also do that with his three. And, he would sit in a circle with them and really explain it to them and really help them to understand the importance of what he just shared. They got deeper in the message, and that's really what we wanted when we thought about like our small group equivalent. Is we said, no, we want to take what we talk about in the weekend message and we want to do a deep dive on that. We want to hear the heart behind that. We want to be able to really digest and chew on that for a little bit. And that's what our circles are, is we engage the scriptures, we discuss the weekend message, and we pray together. And we just ended our semester, I guess, last week. And so we had 336 unique circles that met across North Texas as well as internationally. We've got one in, I think it's Tanzania, so we've got 336 circles that meet, and we had, I think it was about 2,600 unique people in circles throughout from August to December. So
Wow, that's so great because that shows you're thriving.
yeah.
Yes. Valley Creek Church has a monthly event called Serve the City. And
Yeah.
about 40 to 70 projects in your neighborhood
Yeah.
weekly, which blows my mind. And you have about 500 to 700 people that serve in the community every month. How
Yeah.
do you organize something on this large of scale?
Yeah, I mean, we have an incredible team at our Next Step Center. Dawn and Josh and Crystal do a phenomenal job of really kind of pulling everyone together and pulling all of that together. But it's really our local teams as well that are out there in the community talking to all the different areas of life, whether it's government or healthcare or business or education, any number of those areas. They're out in the community asking what the need is. And then each month we focus our Serve the City on a specific area of life. And so that, again, as I mentioned, that's business and education. And there's 9 of them that we call. So we've got business, healthcare, education, family, church, technology, sports, arts and media, and government. And so each month we pick one of those areas of life and then talk to the community to see what they need. And then we do registrations through CCB form for each campus. And then people sign up for either Project 1 or Project 2. Project 1 is typically writing encouraging notes. So this past year we wrote, it's got to be well over 40,000 encouraging notes for teachers, healthcare workers, government, all the different areas of life. So that's kind of our Project 1. Project 2 is things that are out in the community. So it could be going to a teacher lounge and totally overhauling it and, making it a place that's welcoming and loving. It could be going into a facility and just giving them a fresh paint And again, all of those come from the community. We don't create them. We don't come up with them ourselves. It's really through conversation with the community about what the need is. And then we meet the need as we see it. And so we just have a lot of conversation and try to figure out where and how we can help out.
Wow, you're being Jesus in the community. It's a blessing. When you create a lounge like that in a school,
Mhm.
do you see people from that school, especially the administration, the teachers, then start coming to your church?
We have actually, yeah. So the mayor of Louisville started coming to our Louisville campus as a result of us going out and doing some work there. We've had principals that have started attending because we have gone in and helped them with their lounges. We've had principals who have filmed the reactions of the teachers as they see the new lounge for the first time. We have teachers who already have attended Valley Creek who get to receive what we're doing in the community and are able to share with their fellow teachers who Valley Creek is. And we've had people start attending as a result of that too. So it's great for that outreach, but at the end of the day, that's really not why we do it. We do it with no expectation of anything in return. We do it because that's what we're called to do. That's what Jesus has called us to do, is to serve others with no expectations in return. So that's the heartbeat behind it. The benefit of having people show up is secondary.
Yeah, that's why you're growing. Your heart's in the right place.
Hmm.
Oh, it's great. Do you use check-in for any of your events? Because you have so many throughout the week. How do you track all of this?
Yeah, we do use check-in. So for our student events on Wednesdays, we use check-in for that. And then we also have circle leaders. So our students, fun thing there is our students do the exact same thing that our adults do. They have student circles where they engage the scripture, talk about the weekend message, and pray. So for us, it's very much the same. So we check them in, and then our circle leaders, student circle leaders, will also take attendance on the event. For Serve the City, we pre-print all of those name tags. So our registration stays open until the Thursday before the Saturday of the Serve the City. And then my team and I, we print the 700 name tags and get them all laid out so that when people show up on Saturday, they're just picking up the name tag. And we also print on there for them. We print which project they're on, what their rally point or meeting location is. And we've had to use kids' name tags to do that because we haven't found an easy way to be able to print additional information on a name tag other than just the name for some of those adult events. So we've had to get a little bit creative with that, but that's one of the ways that we do check in. And yeah, really any event that we have, with the exception of our weekend attendance, we take attendance and we use check-in for that.
Awesome. And you use push-based schedules as well?
Yes. Yeah. So we use that for any serving roles. So for Serve the City, the leaders of each of those projects, they use schedules. Our weekend serve teams use schedules. Our worship and production, everything kind of gets migrated with per presenter and all of that. They'll be fully on Pushpay, but right now they just check in through that. So really any serving role uses that schedule.
That's awesome. Circles, those represent people, and you have so many. Do you feel comfortable sharing some stories that have come out of people being connected to a circle and then their lives changing or being touched by other people within the circle?
Yeah, the timing of this is also perfect because we just wrapped up our circle semester, as I mentioned before. And so one of the things that we do is we reach out to our circle leaders and just ask them for feedback and ask them for specific stories. So if I can, I'll read a couple of those. So we had one circle that says a couple in our circle got married this semester. Most of our circle was at the wedding and we had a blast celebrating together. At one point, I was talking to one of the bridesmaids. She was one of the bride's college roommates. She told me how much it meant to her to see our circle at the wedding. She told me that she and their other college friends had been praying for a long time that the bride and groom would find godly community, and it was beautiful to see that answer to prayer. I'm so grateful that our circle truly has become family.
Wow.
We had another one that said, I have a girl in my circle who in January was hanging with a very worldly crowd in a toxic job environment, in an abusive dating relationship, and not attending church regularly. Now in December, she has godly women as her friends, a new and life-giving job where she gets to carry hope, is growing in her identity as a beloved daughter, and is now attending church every week. Now she has joined the movement, serves every week on a serve team, and comes to Tuesday night prayer serve the city. She shared with me that coming to circles and building relationships through our circle is what inspired her momentum. And I'll give you just one more. It says, it's been amazing to see the vulnerability in our group. So often there are moments when something is shared and then that person gets prayed over right then, us as leaders included. It's been really sweet in this season.
Oh, those are precious. I'm glad that the audience can only hear us and not see us, because I definitely have streams of tears coming down my face. Those are beautiful.
Yeah.
Like you said, they represent people. I love
Yes.
every one of them. They're very special. Thank you for sharing. I really
Yeah,
appreciate that.
absolutely.
And I love that you care enough that you read them and that they mean a lot to you. And it's not just, hey, we have these circles and let's see how many groups, how many circles we can have and how many people, but every person represents a story. It's perfect. Love it. Joe, some of our listeners may not be aware of integrations that we have with Pushpay. Do you have some favorites that you use?
I do. Yeah, there's two that we use primarily. That's Clearstream and Zapier. So Clearstream allows us to text any group within Pushpay and be able to send out that communication in mass. So love that functionality. I wish we could text by event, but maybe in the future on that one. And then with Zapier, that has been a real game changer for us. So just to share maybe a little bit of context, we had 3 different forming solutions that we were using. And the reason for that is, one was conditional questions, which I know that Pushpay is working on that, and I'm so excited for that. One was for really just anything that was internal, and we'll probably continue to use that one. But another one was because we weren't able to get our form responses into a spreadsheet, which is how we do the majority of our reporting and how we get that information into our database. And so Zapier has allowed us to integrate our forms with Google Sheets so that we can do all of the reporting that we want to do. And it has been absolutely a game changer. We had, I want to say we're up to 90 forms now that have either been converted and transitioned, or that we were able to create brand new in CCB that can integrate with Google Sheets. So Zapier is a huge one for us. And I think if I had a request on that one, I would just ask for no plus sign with the phone numbers and having the field name. But I'll even sacrifice that for the sake of being able to get all of that data in Google Sheets. It's a huge help for us.
Joe, I want to ask you if you have any final thoughts that you would like to share with pastors and ministry leaders. Maybe they're thinking about, wow, do we start to impact our community? Maybe they already are, but they've had a heart to maybe expand that. What are some words of wisdom that you would share with them?
I think the biggest thing that I can share is don't give up. Keep pushing through those things that seem impossible, those things that seem like pipe dreams that may never come to life. Keep pushing through that. In the 3 years I've been here, God put that on my heart 3 years ago about numbers being people, and it's really only still coming to life. And so I would just say, don't give up, don't take the shortcut, and then pursue unity with everything you have, with your team, with your people. Do not sacrifice that one, because as soon as you sacrifice that, everything else goes out the window. And that's where you get that division and where people start to cut corners, and not intentionally. I don't think it comes from a bad heart, but if we relax on pursuing that unity, then I think everything else kind of goes out the window from there.
Thank you for sharing that. That's vital. And we don't always see that, do we, in relationships? So thank you. That was powerful. Yeah. If our audience would like to check out any of your wonderful resources at Valley Creek Church, they can find them at valleycreek.plus. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Great. So valleycreek.plus. I went there and they've got great resources for all of you to check out. Joe, thank you so much for spending this time with us today. It was so wonderful hearing your heart, hearing how numbers represent people. We appreciate and love the mission of Valley Creek Church. Love your enthusiasm
Mm.
and just everything that you're all doing. And we're so thankful to be able to be partnering with you and having that relationship. It's very important to all of us at Pushpay. So thank you so much. We're very honored.
Yeah. Well, thank you too. I mean, y'all have been incredible partners. And I said, if any opportunity I get, y'all have some of the best developers out there. I have worked and managed teams that do development work, and y'all's team is top notch. So just really appreciate our partnership and just looking forward to where it's going to take us in the future.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
This has been Pushpay's Moving Mountain podcast, real talk from church leaders about overcoming challenges and growing their ministries. If you'd like to learn more about Church Stack or any of the features mentioned in our podcast, visit us at pushpay.com. Make sure you subscribe so that you can get notified whenever a new episode comes out. You don't want to miss out on any of these great conversations with amazing people. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.